In September of 1954 is when Grandpa and I got married. I was 18 years old. I was to return to college when I was in my 50s. I would think I was like maybe 55 when I decided that to prove something to myself, I would go back. I got a minor in liberal arts in, I believe, 1997. I graduated with an associate degree. By 1988, I had started working on my colchas. I had gone to a workshop that Father Pat put on. The instructor was Olibama Tushar. She just did such a good presentation. She had this colcha that she made, and she inspired you to draw your own. She said, it doesn't make any difference if they're stick people. It doesn't make any difference what they look like, they're yours. So you need to try to draw your own designs. And so I was really inspired with her. I don't really know who came up with the name of colcha, except maybe it could have been that they made more colchas, which were blankets, in that period of time. And as they got more into a more aesthetic type of print, of design that they could hang on the wall, that they kept the name colcha. It could have been. I'm not sure, I'm just guessing. When I have my workshops, that's a stitch that I teach to students. And it's only one stitch, and it's called a colcha stitch. And you don't have to use another stitch. That's all the stitch you use for colcha.
Oh boy, when Mama started with the artwork, she was so involved in it. I thought she was tricking me because I liked it. I would help her do the dishes so that she could work on her colcha.
I never really expected to get caught up into art. One of the reasons I wanted to focus on history was because I worked with history, number one, but the idea was what it would mean to my kids, to my family, to my children, because my children didn't grow up with the same childhood I did, and they had never seen some of the things that I had. And I always wanted them to understand San Luis, understand the area. And I always felt that they didn't quite understand that it was my hometown. It was my hometown, and when I was growing up, I never expected to leave my hometown. Doing some artwork and deciding to do colchas, I decided, well, okay, I have a lot to draw from. I have a lot of things that I can draw from. I can draw on my memories. I can draw on the history that surrounds the area, and there is a lot of history there. And I'm hoping that in my colchas it'll mean as much to my children as it does to me.
One of these days, what they're going to say, look at this big, all of this. It's going to be, all of them are masterpieces. They are like Van Gogh, like Picasso, like better than all of those guys. One of these days they're going to say, it was Josie.
As I leave something like this, it's more like a legacy for me, because explaining it, I might someday have written a book, but I have no intention of writing a book. So doing the colcha was one way of conveying my feelings, and one way of conveying the historical area.